Once it's in your mind, it's infectious. So fight for your life and reject it. You better give me space, I'm protective. My adrenaline spikes when I'm threatened. And if you stay in my way, I'm aggressive. Cause when there's no exit, I'll kill when I'm desperate.
And we are here live for Change to Cheddar for UFC 300, the biggest card of the year. You guys know I've been waiting on this all week now. I've been here damn near every single day for a live, just getting thoughts off my chest for the most part. But because it is UFC 300, I called in the biggest guns I know. He has the best stats in the game. You may recognize him from his Sunday show with another member here in the community, Brady, on Stat Diggers. You may know him from his Tuesday show, Just the Tip. I'm going to skip the Wednesday one right now. You may remember him from the Friday show, the greasy four-legger. But everyone, grab your bag of oranges, get ready to go see the bookies this weekend, and please welcome Uncle Weezy, and everybody knows D Rose here on the show. Let's beat the bookies this weekend with this damn bag of oranges. Weezy, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. This is the biggest card of the year. If you don't get fired up for this one, then your heart just isn't even beating. And I just got back from a couple of weeks of vacation. I was in France, I was in Italy, and I completely took last week off in terms of content. And 2 weeks ago, I did light content, and I had a beautiful vacation. So I came back energized, ready to go. This is like my 8th show this week that I've done. And why not do that many? I mean, this is the best card of the year. All these fights have two incredible, well-rounded, very talented and well-tested fighters in them. I'm really looking forward to breaking down this card with you guys. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, so everyone, please, if you aren't right now, before or after, the link to like the Weezy's Patreon and his YouTube are both in the link in the description to this video. Please go follow him on YouTube. He once again has the best stats in the game. You will not be disappointed, and a stats package over on Patreon that he will give you every stat you could imagine or want all the way back since 2013. He is the absolute best. D Rose, I don't want to leave you out, man. How have you been since Wednesday, my guy?
Nah, man. Hey, we got to bring in the big guns that you said. So no, we're giving Weezy the red carpet here. But no, things have been great, man. And dude, super fired up for UFC 300. Weezy couldn't have said it better. Your heart's not really beating if you're not excited for this. I mean, I've been taking every bit of content in as possible for UFC 300. Got caught up with all the embeddeds today, watching all the previews and stuff like that. So the only thing that sucks is that I work until 8 o'clock tomorrow. So I'm definitely I'm a car salesman, so I can kind of dictate maybe if I get anything or not. So I might be 6 o'clock comes, might be hiding in the corner trying to watch on my phone, man, because I cannot miss a fight. I cannot miss a fight on here, man. I'm so excited.
And speaking of it, let's get into it. We are all here for actually, let's get that off the screen. We are here for the UFC 300 final post weigh-in preview picks, and I'll give you my bets and parlays at the end of the show. I've got a couple screenshotted from Weezy's greasy four-legger, and D Rose sent me some bets as well. So we are here. Let's get locked in and let's get ready for this. So I believe what am I doing? Oh, I should probably share the screen first. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through the weigh-in photos, hop over to X and look at the little face off and just pretty much give you our final reads of the night and let you know if anything changed from the podcast earlier in the week. So let's do that. What am I doing? There we go. Present. StreamYard doesn't want to work for me right now. Weezy, does that
Does
that surprise you?
It does not sound crazy at all to me, man. You know, those of us who use it all the time know that it can be a little buggy sometimes. My man Brady had like StreamYard breakdown today on a live stream where he had to like actually change from StreamYard to his phone and then back. So you're not surprising me with StreamYard problems, man.
Yeah. One more plug before we get started, Wheezy, and I have to let you know this, you know, face to face or camera to camera, if you will. Probability is probably the best show, my favorite show that you personally do. I listened back 3 or 4 times just because there's so much information in that video that I feel like everyone that bets MMA as a whole should go watch you and Brady's video called Probability for UFC 300. It is filled with all the information possible.
I really appreciate that, man. We work really hard on that show, and I'm finishing up finally. Dude, I've been working for the last 6 months on putting together these products that will help with not just, you know, your over-under bets and your KO bets, decision bets, all that stuff, but significant strike prop bets, takedown prop bets, fantasy score prop bets, round prop bets. We can like basically take both fighters' entire histories, bake them down into one spreadsheet, and give you value on those on each of those particular bets to determine what's plus EV and what isn't, because that's a very difficult thing to quantify. And that's my favorite show that we do. And we're going to be doing a special Patreon with Probability moving forward that I'm very excited about. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And thank you for saying that, because that's my favorite show and we work really hard on that.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. It is a fantastic show. So I believe you deserve a pat on your back if you haven't already. But I'm sorry, chat. Let's shout y'all real quick. Lush Lemaine in the building. Shout out Lush Lemaine, always in here. We got Austin in here. Happy Friday, everyone. We got Tim in here. Austin saying any okay, so they were guessing. We got Lush saying Wheezy. Indeed, we got Chabs in here. Hello, Uncle Wheezy and Rose. Tim Nice will be checking out that content. Stat Diggers first is one of my favorite shows on YouTube. Every Sunday night, the first ones to the game, Uncle Wheezy and Brady are always there. And then we got, sorry for being late, boys. It's okay, Edgar. We are truly just now getting started. So let's do that. Let's get started on the first fight of the night, where we have Cody No Love Garbrandt taking on Deuce Tageta Davison Figueiredo. This is a interesting fight. I have a strong lean on this, and apparently so does D Rose. So let's look at this little face-off clip real quick. Let's turn down the volume so we don't get banned by YouTube, because they like to do that. They're kind of doing a little shadow boxing there. Interesting, kind of gives a little preview on, I guess, how the fight plays out. I'm sorry, Weezy. I keep clicking the wrong one. But kind of give us a little preview of like what to look forward to. My thing is, and everyone knows this at this point, is Cody's chin is gone. And in his past 2 fights, he's kind of fought, I don't want to say the lowest level at 135 in the UFC, but the lowest level at 135 in the UFC. So what have we really seen from Cody on his way back up for the most part? And on the other hand, you look at Deuce Tageta moving up to 135 in his last fight against Rob Font, was dropping Rob Font all over the place. So his power clearly carries from 125 up to 135. My lean here still the same. I'm going Deuce Tageta. Davison Figueiredo knockout round 1 or 2. Wheezy, I'll pass it to you next. Anything?
I'm picking Figueiredo to win, but actually I'm picking him to win by decision. Okay. I do know that Garbrandt has been knocked down a ton of times, knocked out a ton of times, but we do got to keep in mind some of that was down at 125, and he had no business being there. He's a little more durable at 135, but something that I saw in the stats, Matt, these guys are both extremely low volume strikers. When they're at distance, both of them are attempting less than 8 distance strikes per minute. And that is about 3 or 4 less than the divisional average. So if I'm looking for knockouts, I want to see very aggressive fighters that move forward and that throw a lot, so that statistically, you're going to be more likely to land that big shot the more you attempt to land the big shot. These guys are both extremely fast, extremely difficult to find. They're both good defensively and have good footwork and are very fast. So what I'm thinking is going to happen is it's going to be kind of like a low volume counter striking battle where they both might be waiting for the other one to go first. If that's the case, I still think Figueiredo wins, but fight goes to decision was plus 150. I took that shot because that's a 40% implied probability that you're paying. And I like to call the implied probability of the line the price of the line. 51% of bantamweight fights go to decision, and you're only paying 40% here. Both these guys are low volume. It's the big cage, so there's a lot of room to move. I'm hoping that nobody gets chinned here and that it goes the full 15 minutes, but I'm picking Davis and Figueiredo to win.
All right. And D Rose, any lean from you? You picked Cody No Love earlier in the week. I think you said by decision as well, so that actually plays into perfectly what you want to hear, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very much so. And man, I'm about to just Weezy, that information, that's just that's incredible, man. Yeah, absolutely incredible. But yeah, I was leaning the decision way as well, just because if you look at Cody, 2 of his last 3 wins have at least gone past the 1.5 mark. So I do think for myself, I'm also going to be playing on FanDuel. It has plus or over the 1.5 round mark at minus 196. So that's going to be a couple of plays that I'm going to be leaning towards as well. But I think just for the plus money, I'm going to go with Cody Garbrandt. I think similar to what Weezy said, I do think it's going to be a low volume counter striking type of fight. To me, I think it could look very similar to Cody Garbrandt versus Trevin Jones, to where you can see Cody Garbrandt going for a lot of takedowns potentially just to try to slow down that pressure from Figueiredo. But I'm going for the plus money, man, and I'm still sticking with Cody Garbrandt.
All right, fair enough. So I am on Figgy, knocking out Cody. D Rose on Cody by decision, and Weezy giving us the gem that is this fight to go to decision. It's definitely a solid play. Matt Pesky saying, Chama. What's going on, Derek? And we do have a $20 Australian donation.
Ooh.
So I believe that's even more than US. So truly shout out Silent 6. Holy smokes, boys. One more sleep. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because we ain't missing a single fight. Shout out Silent 6. I appreciate you for stopping over here tonight, brother, and the $20 Australian donation, brother. We got Big J Money. What's up, everyone? And hello, brother. From Lush. Hello, man. All right. So that being said, we'll move on to the next one. I'm not sure if I'm sharing the correct thing, because that's what happens. So we'll move on to the next one, where we do have, you guys ready for it? Jim fucking Miller taking on Bobby King Green, and going to be an interesting fight. Both I guess both fighters had no trouble making weight this morning. They are both consummate professionals at this point. So if we go over to Twitter or X and look at their little face off here, Bobby King Green got a height advantage, but ain't nothing we ain't seen from Bobby King Green, talking his shit like he normally does at the face offs there. This one is one that I think I was on Bobby Green earlier in the week, just because I was like, it's Bobby Green by decision. That's what it should be. I'm not going to overthink this, but then I just remember that he got just absolutely knocked out 3 or 4 times, killed, maybe revived and killed again by Jalen Turner 4 months ago. So, man, it just kind of makes me scared. So this is one where I am exposed both fighters here. I have bets on Jim Miller. I have bets Bobby King Green. Yeah, I'm going both ways here. It's either Jim Miller, I just need him straight up, or I wouldn't mind a Bobby Green submission. And Weezy, after listening to probability earlier in the week, you got me on it. I have Bobby King Green by submission played, and I have a single bet, $5, Bobby King Green by submission, round 3. It's $5 to win 300. So it's like an absolute crazy number, like plus like
Nice.
6,000,
60,
60,000. Yeah, so, something like that. Absolutely nuts. I took it. It's $5. You know, I've spent money on dumber things. So yeah, I just need one of those things to happen. I'll be fine over here. D-Rose, I'm gonna pass it to you next. What you got here, brother?
Yeah, I'm honestly thinking I said the same thing that you said to lead into. I'm not going to try to overthink this here. The type of boxers that have good footwork tend to give Jim Miller trouble from time to time. And I do know that Jim Miller was a guy who, you know, notoriously got finished earlier in his career. But even in his last 4 losses, all of his losses have been by decision. And I think the last guy that he fought with a similar style to Bobby Green was Alexander Hernandez, which we saw him bust our damn bets against Damon Jackson last week. So, but we know that type of footwork in boxing can tend to give, yeah. So, and if Alexander Hernandez was able to kind of do that to Jim Miller, I'm thinking that Bobby Green can do the same. Jim Miller does have that power, so he can, you know, as you said, Bobby Green gets chin sometimes, so he could hit him and hit him with a club and sub, but I'm not going to overthink this here. I'm going to still stick with Bobby Green and going to play it by decision. FanDuel's got it at plus 150 right now, so I'm probably going to stick with Bobby Green by decision.
All right, and Uncle Weezy, anything here?
Yeah, I feel the same way. You know, I kind of feel it's Bobby Green by decision here, but I do have a bet on the finish only prop for Jim Miller. I feel if there is a finish in this fight, it's going to be Jim fucking Miller getting that finish because that's what he does. I mean, this guy has got, since 2013, he's finished 12 of his 15 wins inside the distance, right? And he's been finished in 5 of his losses, but there's 14 of them. You know, so he's got 9 decision losses and 5 finish losses. While on the other side for Green, he's finished 5 of his 12 wins. So about a 42% finish rate in his wins compared to 80% for Miller. And then he's been finished in 4 of his 10 losses, all by KO, which is interesting, you know, because that's the durability factor right there. If Jim Miller drops you, he doesn't need to knock you out. He might just jump on your neck. And then it's over. If that dude gets your neck, it's over. So I feel like the finishing equity here is on the Miller side. I got that at plus 100. So if the fight goes to decision, the bet voids. But if there is a finish and it's Jim Miller, I got it as an even money bet. And frankly, I think it should be minus 200 because Bobby Green's not the best finisher. Miller is definitely much more opportunistic when it comes to the finishing. And I would even say, especially now, after this last fight, that Miller's more durable because, boy, Green got knocked out, man, and it was nasty, and the ref didn't do his job. The ref's job is, you know, fighter safety, and he really failed Bobby Green that last time. Coming back only 4 months later, I already cashed a bet on this fight, you guys. I had Bobby Green to be wearing more gold chains at the weigh-in. It was like minus 5,000, you know, so it was 1 unit to win 0.02, but I'm already up 0.02 units going into tomorrow. So yeah, man, cash that bet. And I think that this is going to be a really fun fight. I'm looking forward to it. I got a feeling Miller gets it done.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. He's done it at UFC 100, 200, and now 300. You know, Jim fucking Miller. It wouldn't surprise me if he did it. And then we got Diego Lopes shirt. Indeed. I've got my guy shirt on. And Weezy, I know the answer to this. I'll let you talk about this for just a second while I get the next one pulled up here. Uncle Weezy, yo, is that a Crick speaker behind you on the bookshelf?
What it is acoustic. They're acoustic image. They're kind of like fell off the back of a truck a long time ago. I'm a DJ from back in the day, so you see all my records behind me, and I got my turntables right here. So yeah, there's some speakers in here, and there's a lot of audio equipment and a lot of vinyl.
Yeah, Uncle Weezy, your original DJ, not one of the the button pushers that you see today, was actually turning the tables back in the day.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Like we used to do it back in the day.
All right. So we'll move on to the next one. That is Marina Rodriguez taking on Bata Estaca, Jessica Andrade, the meanest 5'1.5" package on the planet. Yeah, carries a lot of power, knockouts at 115, 125, and all the way up at 135. And then if you guys want to take a look at the face-off just real quick, let me make sure that this is quiet. And then, oh no, don't do that to me. Oh, this is going to be fun trying to find this. Yeah, Marina Rodriguez clearly has the height advantage, going to have the reach advantage, but the power advantage, in my opinion, has to go Jessica Andrade. And this is where I know me and D-Rose are split. One of our different pick champs, one of our different picks for the pick champ. We like Weezy, me and D-Rose have this thing going every week where we have 3 to 5 different fights that we pick different on every single week, and the loser has to eat a few of this Bean Boozled, and so it's usually pretty gross. It may end up in me throwing up on stream, but it's rather fun. This is one of the different picks that we have. I am on Jessica Andrade here. I know D-Rose is on Marina Rodriguez. Do you have anything on this fight before I pass it to D-Rose, Weezy?
Not much. I'm thinking still, I've been looking at fight doesn't start round 3 at plus 160 or plus 165 all week with my finger on the button, but I haven't quite pressed it. I always just get a little bit worried. I think that there's a narrative right now with the $300,000 bonuses that there's going to be more finishes. You can't cap that, you know, and in order to finish a high level fight, you need to have a precise performance. You know, it can't just be like, oh, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to swing dicks now and I'm just going to all of a sudden get a finish because it's $300K for $50K. You still got to finish your opponent. And this is UFC 300. There's no scrubs on this card. So I think that you don't want to overcap violence on this. You got a big cage. That always means something. A live audience and a lot of pressure means that fighters might be a little bit more reluctant to make a mistake as well. So I don't know if I'm going to get to that violence bet, but any Jessica Andrade fight, she's finished 9 of her 16 wins, and she's been finished in 8 of her 10 losses, Jessica Andrade. So you add that up, 9 and 8, 17 of her 26 UFC fights have finished inside the distance. So whenever you get a Jessica Andrade fight, you don't just have to, if you're betting violence, you just don't have to worry about, oh, is Jessica gonna get a finish? Jessica can absolutely get finished as well. So I still might get to that bet. Plus 160, that's less than a 40% implied probability. And Marina Rodriguez has some power in her own right. And the way that Jessica fights, she leaves a lot of openings, but she's also looking for that finish. She's very mean, like you said. So going to be a really fun fight. If I get to a bet, it's going to be fight doesn't start round 3 at plus 160.
Okay, fair enough. Well, if this does turn into a dick swing contest, I will have to say I would bet that Jessica Andrade might have the bigger, larger dick in this situation. Yeah, I'm still on Jessica Andrade knockout. D-Rose, what about you, man? Anything changed from earlier in the week?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, Weezy is just, you know, just bringing these points on so clean, man. I mean, it's just kind of helping lead into my point too, just because I'm not going to overthink this in terms of the way I'm betting this. I'm still just going to take Marina Rodriguez at the plus money right now. And the only reason I would say maybe by decision, just because Marina Rodriguez does tend to go to decision sometimes, but she is coming off the finish against Michelle Watterson. And as Weezy said, when Jessica Andrade, when she gets into the scraps, man, she walks forward and just swings that left hook over and over again and just spams it and leaves herself open to get hit with big counter shots. Look at the Yan Xiaonan fight. Look at the Weili fight. Yeah. Every single time she steps forward with a technical striker like that, and Marina Rodriguez, to myself, watching her, is a very good technical striker with her boxing. I think she could leave herself open for Marina Rodriguez to land a big shot. Could potentially get the finish, but I'm going to stick with Marina Rodriguez here.
All right, fair enough. We will move on to the next one. That is Hanato Money Moicano taking on the Tarantula, Jalen Turner. I always worry about Jalen Tarantula Turner weigh-in days, but he did it, and he looks good. He didn't miss weight, up there looking shredded. Pretty much, dude, I don't think you could be any bigger at 155. I truly don't. And Money Moicano up there, you know, you can kind of tell that he used to fight down at 145 pounds. So let's take a look over at the face-offs real quick, and we see the app here. Let's make sure I am sharing. Indeed, I am. So Jalen Turner, just, you know, a solid I don't know, 4 inches taller than Money Moicano. The reach advantage is definitely going to be there. The power advantage is definitely going to be there. And this is another one, Weezy, that me and D-Rose where might have to eat beans for on this week. I am on Jalen Turner, probably to knock out Renato Moicano in the first round. Round 1, Jalen Turner is something that no one can prepare for unless you're training with maybe a middleweight. And then you just might get hurt during training camp. So give me Jalen Turner, knockout round 1. D-Rose, what are you going here?
Yeah, I'm still going to stick with Money Moicano here. For me, Jalen Turner, I kind of go back to the Garbrandt fight a little bit just to say that I knew he was able to, get up in the 3rd round, and I know it ended up coming down to a split decision, but I still think that Jalen Turner was able to he struggled with the wrestling a little bit, and I think Garbrandt doesn't have the best ground control versus where I don't think Moicano has the best takedowns, but I do think he has much better control once he's able to get the fight to the ground. Kind of looking back at that Drew Dober fight, and yeah, if you look at the RDA loss, yeah, he kind of got lumped up in that fight, but he also took the fight on 3 days notice. So I kind of throw that fight out the window, but yeah, I'm still going to go ahead and stick with Money Moicano here. I think he's plus 194 on FanDuel right now. So, yeah, I think the value is all there for him to potentially get an upset.
All right, so me and D-Rose still split there. Uncle Weezy, do you have any gems of knowledge for us here?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I got in my greasy 4-legger this week is the fight to not start round 3. Because, if Moicano is getting subs, it's in round 1 or 2. If Jalen Turner is getting any kind of a finish, it's in round 1 or 2. So, one of the things that I look at, one of the statistical tools that I use in my prop template is just to determine where these guys finish fights and where their fights are finished, right? And let's say you got 2 fighters where 50% of their fights end inside the distance. Well, where do they end? Because we're going to talk about Sadiq Yusuff versus his opponent coming up, right? And that's a great one. You got him on your shirt, right? So that fight, they got 10 UFC fights combined. 5 of them have finished inside the distance, but all 5 of them in round number 1, right? So why pay minus 200 for fight doesn't go to decision when you can get fight doesn't start round 2 at plus 230, right? So it's about finding those spots where you can actually get the finish condition, but get it at a much cheaper price. That way you can make more bets. You can invest less and make more by understanding the math behind what you're paying on the price and what the win condition of the fighters is. So for this one, I like fight doesn't start round 3. I think if it goes to decision, it probably means Moicano got takedowns and a bunch of control time and probably got to Jalen's back. And if it doesn't get the decision, you could see a Moicano sub, or you could see a Jalen Turner early knockout, or a club and sub, right? Because Jalen Turner's got 7 finishes, but 4 of them are KOs, 3 of them are subs. And, and it really doesn't matter how good you are at BJJ, right? If all of a sudden, some guy walks in to the tournament and he's 7 inches taller than you, but somehow he made weight, you might never get choked out in the gym, but this dude might choke you out. And you'd be like, how the fuck did that happen? Well, he's got a gift that you don't have. And that's something that Jalen Turner has. He's got that cheat code. He's 6'3". He's a southpaw with a 77-inch reach in the lightweight division. So I took a quarter unit shot on Jalen Turner by submission at plus 850. So a quarter unit to try to win a little bit more than 2 units here. And I'm hoping that Jalen pounds him. Hinado doesn't know where the hell he is, shoots in on a sloppy takedown. We get a ninja choke or a guillotine in there. And yes, sir, thumb up. Get that bone right there in the carotid artery, and it's over. So that's how I'm looking for Jalen to hopefully finish this fight if he's the one that finishes it. But I'm looking for someone to finish this fight in the first 2 rounds.
Almost like the Brad Riddell finish, if I recall.
Yep.
Something like that. Silent 6 saying, Weezy's logic is solid. Unfortunately, I'm too high and melted my brain mentioning stats and math. It's been a few big weeks on the tools. I'm sorry, boys.
I'm
It's
high
okay,
as shit
though.
right now. So like, some of us nerds really like we can blow a bong and just be like high as shit and then just start talking stats and it makes sense to us. So I apologize for melting your brain, brother.
All right. So
It's what the man's passionate about. Hey,
That's
when they
right.
get
You're
stoned
damn
and start
right,
talking, man.
D-Rose.
Yeah, you get passionate about it and you start rolling, man. So
Yeah.
hey, I don't blame you, Weezy.
Yeah, that is what happens. That is what happens. So up next, we do have one of the fights I'm clearly the most excited for. Dream, believe, and make it happen. Written across your chest. What a fantastic tattoo. A fantastic haircut. D Rose has this haircut on the podcast thumbnail every single week by his request. I don't just do it. He wants it. It is Diego Lopes taking on Super Sadiq Yusuff. And if we head on over to X or Twitter real quick, we can take a look at the face off. And this just made me so happy seeing this. Just the absolute size advantage for my guy, Diego Lopes here. And it's not like he's like skinnier than like Sadiq Yusuff, like or anything. He still has just as much muscle on him. And Wheezy, I know there's probably very little knowledge and information that I could give you here on the channel. But if there is one thing, Weezy, I'm about 6 foot, 5'11" and a half, like right there. 180 pounds is what I usually walk around at. And last September at Noche UFC, I ran into the guy, and he is a big fella. He is a big fella. Like it's no joke.
Alessandro Costa there too.
Indeed. They're
Cool.
always together. Yeah. So he is.
Is he tall?
He is a big guy, Wheezy. And I had shoes on. I was like, holy shit, this dude makes 145 pounds. Like,
I don't know,
dude. It's that is absolutely nuts. He's a big guy. And ever since I saw him, one of my favorites, I was actually, it's crazy how it happens. The first UFC event that I went to this past year, it had been since maybe 2017 since I went to like a UFC event. And I went to UFC Nashville and I saw him pretty much break Gavin Tucker's arm live there in person. And I was like, yeah, this guy is my guy. So let's go. Diego Lopes. I got him to finish Super Sadiq Yusuff in one of the first 2 rounds. He is just on this rocket ship that is blasting him off. I thought D Rose was going to pick Super Sadiq Yusuff earlier in the week, but he didn't. He went my guy, Diego Lopes, as well. So, Wheezy, do you have anything here on this fight?
Fight doesn't start round 2 at plus 230. I mean, that's what I went with. That was what my prop template told me where the value was on the betting side here. And obviously somebody like Diego Lopes, who's such a dangerous submission grappler, is going to be most likely to land that submission when both fighters are dry. That's just how it works. Sadiq Yusuff's got a ton of power early in fights. I mean, he's finished a couple of fights in the first round, and he almost finished Edson Barbosa in round 1. That was a 10-8 round. He had him on skates for about 2 minutes straight. Just couldn't absolutely finish it. And I think it might have been Kerry Hatley, who was the referee that night, the guy who almost got Bobby Green killed, So, I mean, like, let's just hope Bobby's all right, But, so, yeah, I kind of like some early violence here because both of these guys are extremely dangerous. I'm picking Sadiq Yusuff to get this done by knockout, but I'm not confident in it at all. I mean, like, I'm picking him to win. He's plus 120, but I didn't get to a bet. So that kind of tells you all you need to know about, I mean, when you bet against a guy like Diego Lopes, your ticket might be dead in like 35 seconds. You just got to know that going in, So that's part of what we do is, sometimes you're just going to look like a complete asshole, right? And Diego Lopes is a guy that can make you look like a real prick. Like if you bet Sabatini or if you bet Gavin Tucker against him, you're like, oh, Christ, that was quick, So I'm really looking forward to this fight. And I think that if somebody does get served, probably in that first 5 minutes. So that was the bet that I made here, but I'm a little bit agnostic on who wins the fight. I'm going to really enjoy this one. This is 2 super exciting prospects. Sadiq, not even 31 yet. Diego, 29 years old. Both these guys are top-notch featherweights. I can't wait.
Hell yeah, and D Rose, my guy.
Yeah, Matt, I'm a big Super Sadiq fan, so I know that's why he thought I was going to pick Sadiq earlier in the week. But Diego Lopes, he has kind of won the MMA fans over, and I just love kind of like the star power that he's already kind of gaining. And I think a lot of people are predicting him to get a star making performance, to get put on the rocket ship and sent to the stars, man, because he's got that kind of capability and following right now. And I think his fight style, it very much leads to being fan friendly as well. I mean, you can get him. Sadiq does get hurt in a bunch of his fights. He got clipped in the Edson fight, of course. Of course, he ended up surviving in the Arnold Allen fight as well. And he ended up surviving. But I think Diego Lopes is a dude where if he ends up getting you hurt, man, he can absolutely finish you. You can get him on FanDuel right now, round 1 or 2, Diego Lopes to get the finish in round 1 or 2 at plus 165. I'm probably going to be looking to sprinkle that in a couple of parlays just to try to get that plus money. I'm going to be playing Diego Lopes money line as well. I think Super Sadiq Yusuff, I am with Weezy here. If Sadiq is to win, it's probably going to be an early knockout just because Sadiq does go for it, but it does tend to fade as the fight goes on. So I do think that Diego Lopes, as long as he survives that early storm, will be able to get the finish.
All right. So we got here's another stat for you. Wheezy won, solid 6-0. Value in Super Sadiq Yusuff. He gassed out Edson going for the finish. Indeed. Also, is anyone else picking up on a slight Larry King kind of vibe in Wheezy's voice? I could 100% listen to him talk MMA stats and math. Wait, am I listening to him talk MMA stats and math? Indeed, you are, Silent Six. All right.
Silent Six is the very own the comment comedian in this case here.
All the way from Australia too. It is rather hilarious to hear some of his takes. So we'll move on to the next fight. That is, holy smokes, she made it, boys. 135 pounds for the skeleton on the scale. That is Kayla Harrison. Wheezy, I mention this every time I see her, and no one will agree with me. Her and Sergey Pavlovich have the same face. I don't know what it is. Every time I look at Sergey Pavlovich, I see Kayla Harrison's face. It's just the eyes, nose, and mouth. They could be twins. I have no idea. They could have the same parents. But she made 135 pounds, and we know Holly Holm, the consummate professional that is Holly Holm. She made weight, no issues as well. So we'll head on over to X and look at the face-offs, and Holly Holm looks like she might have 1.5 inch, 2-inch height advantage. Earlier in the week, I was like, I guess I'm going Kayla, but I'm not going to bet it. My money's staying far away from this fight. Well, the fights, the bets that I do have this in now have gone the other way. I'm not flipping. My pick is probably still Kayla Harrison going to win this fight. But I was kind of letting you guys know a little bet that I had earlier. I have Bobby Green via sub and Kayla Harrison by decision parlayed up. It's a 2-legger. I put $10 on it to win. I think it's $1,100. It's like plus 11,000 for the odds. I mean, Bobby Green sub could happen, and if Holly Holm wins, it's always by decision. So, Kayla Harrison probably going to win this fight, but Holly Holm by decisions like plus like 400 or something like that now, or it was just a little bit ago.
It was plus 600 a while back, and I was like, really? He's plus 350 on the money line. You're going to give me plus 600 on decision? Because I don't think she's going to finish any. I mean, she's not really a finisher anymore. No. Not since Ronda Rousey has Holly Holm went out there and just starched somebody. And Ronda Rousey was not known for her striking, in case anybody didn't remember that.
Holly Holm via points plus 550, so it's dropped just a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm kind of thinking now. It's like, are we going to see Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey too? I doubt it. Women's MMA has evolved so much since then. Yeah. Kayla Harrison is way better than Ronda Rousey ever was. At least I personally think so. Her striking is, because I just love the Ronda Rousey, like the slow motion clip where she's just like, like her shadow
using more hips. Was she using more hips than arms when she's punching? She's shaking her ass while she's punching. That's just crazy.
That's one of my favorite clips. That is just awful, and it lets you know why she got absolutely demolished by Holly Holm and then Amanda Nunes. So, yeah, this one is tough for me. I'm invested both ways now when I didn't want to be invested at all. But I'm hoping Holly Holm via decision at this point. D Rose, pass it to you. Anything here?
Yeah, I am with you. I'm not too crazy on this. I'm sticking with Kayla Harrison here, and just due to Holly, just her last couple of performances, she just looked very lackluster in her last couple of performances, and getting subbed by Myra Wynn and Silva as well. And for Kayla Harrison, you know, obviously we know her judoka background, two-time Olympian here. And I think, you know, her takedowns pressure is just going to end up just being too much for Holly. Her last 2 fights have gone to decision, so I'm not going to overthink this here. I think, you know, Holly Holm is going to be able to survive enough on the ground, but I am going to stick with Kayla Harrison by decision here. So that's what I'm going to stick with.
All right, and indeed, she is 42, Matt Pesky. But if you just look back, like Holly Holm from 36 to 42, have you really seen any difference? I mean, I haven't.
Really?
I haven't.
Oh, she's went to a lot of clinching against the fence, like
a lot of it.
Mean,
and you're not doing that against Kayla, man. You're gonna get put on your head if you get into a clinch against Kayla Harrison.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this as like let me just set back and see what Kayla Harrison looks like in the UFC against UFC competition, because she's been crushing cans for the most part. So I'm interested. I want to be cheering for Holly Holm. I expect Kayla Harrison to win though. Anything here? Or have I already went to you, D Rose? I forgot, man.
Yeah. You went D Rose. I'm going with Kayla here. You know what I was saying here was pre-flop, the bet was Holly, right? Because there's a lot of questions on Kayla. You don't know how she's going to look on the scales. You know that if this winds up being a 3-round striking fight, that Holly's going to win. You know, she's the better striker. We know that, right? But like Holly doesn't seem to have a lot of faith in her striking. You know, like I had money on her against Ketlen Vieira, and she seemed like she wanted to have nothing to do with striking against Ketlen Vieira. And Ketlen's striking's okay. It's solid, but Ketlen's a better grappler than she is a striker. And Holly just didn't even seem comfortable at range against Ketlen, right? So there's not going to be any place for her to hide here. And when I watched the tape on Kayla, I saw a couple things that surprised me. I grew up doing judo, right? So, and I loved that sport. I also wrestled, and I hated wrestling, right? Judo was so fun with the technique. When you get the technique in judo right, somebody goes fucking flying, and it looks spectacular. You know, you use judo on the schoolyard, and you hit a throw against somebody, all of a sudden the entire school is afraid of you because they're like, wow, that dude just like, he just launched that person into the air, you know. The wrestling just sucked. It was just about grinding. It was about running and puking and cutting weight. And then, you know, it was just about who wanted it more. And it really was a lot less about technique. Kayla Harrison's wrestling is way better than it should be for somebody that grew up doing judo. Because when you're doing judo, they don't let you lock hands. You can't lock hands in a judo match. That's a foul. And you can't attack legs. So you can't shoot for a single leg, a double leg. That's not allowed. It's all upper body takedowns. So Kayla, you know, thrived in a sport where you don't get to use any kind of wrestling technique. And now when you watch her fight, she's blending her striking with her wrestling entries. That's high level MMA shit, you know, because just sometimes really good wrestlers can't figure out how to use their striking to enter on a takedown because they could never do that in a wrestling match. You couldn't like even fake throwing an overhand right to set up a fucking double leg. They'd kick you out of the goddamn tournament, you know? So Kayla has done a really good job for somebody who grew up doing judo and did it at the highest level for a long period of time, using her MMA wrestling, her MMA striking to blend those two things to set up how she grapples. And once she gets you into her grappling realm, she's dominant there. And Holly's just not. Holly keeps her fight standing, right? 82% of Holly's fights, or I'm sorry, 70% of Holly's fights take place at distance striking range. The other 30% of that, Holly's winning 24% of those control time positions. Her opponents are only winning 5%. So she's not really getting control. But boy, when she does, it's not good. And if Kayla gets her down, it's not going to look good. So I think Kayla's going to finish her. I think Kayla's going to get takedowns because her wrestling is way better than it should be. Her judo is already 10 out of 10. You know, so if she gets into the clinch with you, sweeps, trips, reaps, head wheels, whizzer kicks, it's all available for her. So I think she's going to get this fight to the ground. And I think once she does, Holly's going to look like a fish out of water and she's going to get finished.
Okay, fair enough. Uncle Weezy on Kayla Harrison via finish. That's probably the way it goes, but I'm going to be rooting for Holly Holm, and D Rose has, just kind of just watching here. Quick little story. This is Uncle Weezy. Me and D Rose come from Southwest Virginia. So the Virginia Tech area, Jim Miller, kind of wrestled there. So we have a big, it's a big wrestling town. Everyone's D Rose, you would know this more than me because you're still there. How many years in a row have they won their wrestling state championship there?
So their streak did break a couple years ago, but I believe it got up. So it did get up to 16 years in a row that they had won the state championship in wrestling. So it was a very, very big wrestling community here.
Yeah, they started young. When you got a good wrestling community, those kids are in that gym at 5 years old, crying "Why am I in wrestling practice?" But they're
easy. So that's the area that we come from, and I remember I was in 4th grade and I wanted to wrestle so bad. So my dad finally let me wrestle, and I did so good, Weezy, and I only lost one match, got 2nd place in the only tournament that I ever did. And then my friends at school were like, "Wrestling's gay. You have to wear this little tight thing." And I was like, I don't want to be gay. So I stopped wrestling in 5th grade. And if I could look back at it, but still to this day, I took away from all the moments at Hawkeye Hall in Christiansburg, Virginia, all of the technique, the strong hips that I still have to this day. I have friends that were college wrestlers that will body lock me and be like, "Matthew, you have strong hips. I don't think I can get you down, man." I'm like, hey, that's all those hills in Christiansburg, Virginia that I used to bear crawl up from football practice and wrestling practice back in the day. It was awful. That the sport of wrestling will make you a kid that is very humble growing up, without a doubt.
Yeah, all martial arts do that to you, and it's a very good thing. It makes you humble and it makes you strong.
Indeed. So let's move on to the next one, which I do have a strong opinion on. We have the Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling, taking on Calvin Kattar. I believe he is the Boston finisher, Calvin Kattar. Terrible nickname now, but that's the first time that I've heard it was this past week on the podcast. But Aljo's first fight up at 145 looked jacked up there. Not as sunken out, but, I guess not really too much different. And I don't know, from his I guess interviews earlier in the week, he didn't really sound like he was too enthused to be fighting at 145 anyway. But let's take a look at the face-off right here, where we see Aljo clearly the smaller of the two men. And I personally look at this, Weezy. I don't know if you will meet a bigger Sean O'Malley fan, dude. You can, as D Rose, I will wear this pink wig when Sean O'Malley fights. We were actually in the documentary when he put out right before the championship, when he fought, I think it was when he fought Peter Yan. Me and D Rose were in the documentary. Like when he won, we're like, yeah, like we were featured in there, and that made us so hype. I'm a huge Sean O'Malley fan, and when he knocked out Aljo last, I don't want to say I called it, but I called Sean O'Malley round 2 knockout, and then it happened. The next one I called was Ilya Taporia round 2 knockout over Volk, and I actually bet that one, and it happened too. I actually cashed on that one. This one, I think Aljo is too small for 145. He was a weight bully down at 135, and now that he's not able to be a weight bully anymore because, the game's advancing, the taller, longer, thinner guys are able to make 135, and he can't really be that weight bully anymore if you've got some takedown defense. And Calvin Kattar does have that takedown defense, and he has very, very clean boxing, fast hands, and power. So I'm going Calvin Kattar. I like the round 2, round 3 knockout prop here. Uncle Weezy, I'm going to pass it to you next. What do you have here?
I like Kattar as well. I'm actually picking him to win by decision, but when I'm looking at the analytics, the under 2.5 rounds and the fight doesn't go to decision are underpriced according to the analytics. And let's face it, if we're looking for violence, start with a card where you're getting $300K for a bonus, so that's really good that there's some incentive for these guys to finish. But Calvin Kattar coming off a 1 year and 6 month layoff, and a knee injury, and Aljamain Sterling, man, I don't know, man. That last performance against Sean, imagine fighting Sean O'Malley, being Aljamain Sterling, and shooting no takedowns in the first round until there's 15 seconds left in the round. That made no sense to me. That was almost like he was trying to lose, and then he got sparked right there at the beginning of the second. So it's like, I don't know if Sterling's 100% right now, mentally, career-wise.
And the grappling matches too.
Yeah, grappling matches where, that's odd. Like, if you're looking to fight at a high level, you shouldn't be taking flow grappling matches in between fights. But you should be concentrating on the sport where you're making all your money, because in those grappling matches, those cats are going for knee bars all the time, going for heel hooks all the time. You get caught in one of those, now you're out 6 to 12 months. That's not a good thing. So, yeah, I think Kattar's size, I think really good takedown defense. And what Kattar's got 91% takedown defense. He's stuffed 21 of 23 takedowns in his UFC career. But also, some fighters are just extremely difficult to even shoot in on because of the footwork, because of the distance management. And Calvin's got both. He's very good with that. So I like the length, the size, even a little bit of overall experience and the boxing advantage that Calvin has here. I think he keeps this standing. I think he wins the minutes on the feet and lands the bigger shots on the feet and doesn't get backpacked. And if he does that, I think he might find even a KO here, or he could just cruise to a decision.
Yeah, I personally like the Calvin Kattar KO plus 500 prop. D Rose, what do you have here, my guy?
Yeah, I really after listening to y'all are really trying to do a good job at swinging me the other way, but I am going to stand strong, even though I am surprised that Aljo is I'm not gonna say heavy favorite, but I figured the line would be closer to even money. But maybe I'm just being a fanboy right now. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of Aljamain Sterling's kind of preparation going into this camp, and I am with Weezy in the point that you go back to that O'Malley fight and, shooting no takedowns there, except for the last 15 seconds or so.
Yeah.
And then, he's been working on a lot of his wrestling and from a lot of the stuff that I've been seeing, I think he's going to go back to a lot of that and a lot of pace and pressure. And he seems to be feeling a lot more free, not having to drain himself and deplete himself from that weight cut. Because I will say, when he was on the scale going up against Sean in that last fight, he was pretty hyped up. But man, his face was sucked down a lot. When you see him on the scale this time around, he did look a lot more full. Something that he hasn't used in a while either is a lot of his kicks, and a lot of his camp and stuff that he's been recording, his film and stuff like that. He's going back to a lot of his spinning kicks and stuff like that. So I think you could see Aljo push the pace and pressure a little bit more. I know Zabit was able to kind of put the pressure on him in the first 2 rounds, kind of faded there in the third round, but I think you can see a similar style here, and I'm going to stick with Aljamain by decision here.
All right. We will move on to the next one then that we have. This is going to be a fun one. Let me share the wrong tab. We do have Alexander Rakic taking on one of my personal favorite fighters in the UFC. It goes like Trevor Peek, Josiane Nunes, Yuri Prochazka, Nate Landwehr. I cannot miss a Yuri Prochazka fight. It is one of my favorite things to witness for the most part. And if we go on over to the to the stare downs here, I'm sure you're like, why did you say Josiane Nunes? Because she thumps and has no neck. That's why. Anyway, Yuri Prochazka looks like is the same size as Alexander Rakic here. Like the measurables here look like they're relatively the same. But one thing that you can't measure is the craziness that Yuri Prochazka brings to this game. This dude will stand here like this and eat your punches just like this with his hands down crossed, and then he'll charge up and hit you with one fist. It makes absolute no sense, but I love me some Yuri Prochazka. I'm going Yuri Prochazka here. D Rose, I'm going to pass it to you next. I'm going to go grab something to drink. I do have to let you know. I do have to get you to explain to Uncle Weezy why Alexander Rakic is your favorite fighter at this point. And then after you're done, if you just want to follow up Weezy, I'll be gone like 30 seconds. But I am going Yuri Prochazka KO here, just trying for the most part, hoping for the best. Am I confident in it? No. But let's go Yuri Prochazka. D-Rose, let them know why you're the biggest fan of of Alexander Rakic.
Yeah, so obviously going into a weekend like this weekend, UFC 300, the early prelims, obviously the first fight of the night, Cody Garbrandt versus Davis Figueiredo. You're not going to want to miss a fight like that by any means, but some of the fight night Apex type cards, if I work till 8 on a Saturday, if I miss the first couple fights, hey, I got ESPN Plus. I can go back and watch it. That's no issue at all. So it was when the UFC was still airing on Fox Sports, and they were airing the early prelims on FS2. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll watch the early prelims. And I can't remember the exact card, but the fight was Alexander Rakic versus Justin Ledet. And I was like, man, this Rakic dude, he is an absolute beast. He is a monster on the scale. He looks like he's going to be a fun fighter. And Weezy, when I tell you that was the absolute most boring damn fight I've ever seen in my life. And I had sat there and had this realization with myself and said, I am not going to torture myself and watch early prelims if I don't want to. I can go back and watch it later if the result was that fantastic. I'm not going to sit here and put a gun to my head and make myself watch these fights when I don't have to. And Alexander Rakic from that point on had made me kind of a little more selective on the early prelims. But just in terms of him as a fighter, he is good. He's got a lot of physical tools, great athlete. The only thing that he just does not do is finish people. He's got that finish against Jimmy Manuwa, but come on now. I think, anybody was finishing Jimmy Manuwa at that point. I think he ended his career with a 4 KO losing streak. So I do think for me, Yuri just leaves his chin up way too much for me, doing a lot of a callback to Fairly Odd Parents here, the Crimson Chin, where he is just quite literally just chin straight up in the air and just waiting for you to crack him. Not to say that Alexander Rakic doesn't do the same thing, because he does a little bit of the same thing himself, but I think he just uses a little bit more footwork, better athlete. And Alexander Rakic also has very good leg kicks, which, as you saw in the last fight against Alex Pereira, that was a little bit of an Achilles heel to Yuri in that fight. So I think that's something that Alexander Rakic can do. Unfortunately, will probably be a boring ass decision again for Alexander Rakic here, but I'm going to stick with Alexander Rakic.
Gross. And Uncle Weezy, what's up here, man?
Yeah, I got Jerry's Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I don't think Alex is that dangerous. He obviously finished Justin Ledet, or I don't know if he finished him or not, but he shaved his ass.
He didn't.
He beat 7 shades of shit out of Ledet. I remember that because I had Justin Ledet in my DraftKings lineup, and I'm like, this guy is getting absolutely killed. And he did. He lost that fight dominantly. And then he went out there and he killed Devin Clark, but Devin Clark actually dropped him, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, man, if Devin Clark is dropping you, Jiri's gonna kill you. And Jiri's what's concerning about Jiri is the fact that he does not care about defense at all, right? 48% distance striking defense, 40% significant strike defense. I mean, like, this guy is so easy to hit, but he's very difficult to finish. You know, Alex Pereira can drop anybody with that left hook and finish anybody with that left hook. Alexander Rakic has some power, you know, but he does not have the kind of power that Alex Pereira has. This guy Prochazka's got 34 fights. He's got 29 wins. He's got 28 finishes. I mean, that's not a fucking coincidence, you know? It's not like you got, I finished 7 of 8 fights, no. This is 28 of 29. This guy, and you can watch a lot of those fights and see where he's having problems at first, but he just zombies through it. And then eventually he finds you with some weird ass punch that comes from a place it should never come from. I mean, like, Yuri Prochazka is like one of those guys that has went through about 40 striking coaches, and 39 of them have quit. They're like, I just quit. I'm done, like, this guy won't listen, but he finds a way. He finds a way all the time. I think Rakic might take him down. If he does, I think Jiri's just going to get right back up. And I think the optics of this fight are going to be that Jiri's going to be the one moving forward. And I think if Jiri fights smart here, right, I think what he needs to do is pressure Alexander. I think if he's walking forward, it's going to remove a lot of those leg kicks coming his way. And I think that's going to be a really easy way. You got to crowd the kicker. I think Rakic needs to kick here in order to win. But Prochazka's got great kicks. He's got great ground and pound. If you get sloppy trying to take that dude down and wind up underneath him, he'll finish you with ground and pound. It's top notch. So I like Jiri here. I think he's the far more exciting fighter. I think if I'm putting together a UFC 300 card, I'm looking to get Jiri on that card for sure, and I'm looking to get him a win, because when this dude wins, people talk. They're like, holy shit, look at this dude. You know what I mean? Like, when he finished Volkan Ozdemir, there was like a bunch of dudes who were like, I am moving to the forests of Czech Republic.
That was me.
Yeah. I'm gonna like shed myself of all my worldly possessions, and I'm going out there. There's something magical in those forests,
Me.
Well, I think Jiri's gonna get the job done, man.
Yeah. I as well just think Jiri at some point ends up melting Alexander Rakic with pressure and pace. So. Yeah.
We should say
up the under 2.5.
Dude, I hope he does. I hope Jiri does. I cannot, and there are not many fighters that I can say I do not like watching. I do not like watching Alexander Rakic. So I hope Jiri does. But yeah, I got a gut feeling it's not going to happen, man. But let's just hope he does that.
All right. So that was the main event of the prelim. So it is main card time. So if you guys haven't already, please do us a favor and hit a thumbs up button on the stream here. I have 3 people here. Me, D-Rose, and Uncle Weezy, Chicago's own, Chicago's finest. Weezy, I have to be honest with you, I am not the biggest fan of Chicago. I had terrible memories of Chicago. The first time I ever went to Chicago, I got off a plane and was yelled at by my boot camp instructors. I went to Great Lakes for Navy boot camp, so I do not have the greatest memories of Chicago O'Hare International Airport. But ever since then, I haven't been. I think I may have been back there one time just as a layover. But at some point, I need to go back and experience Chicago as a tourist, not having to go there in January.
Free. You got that's the only way to go to Chicago. Go in the summer and stay as far away from the drill sergeants as possible, and you'll have a really good time.
Yeah, I went in January to Great
Not
Lakes,
good.
Illinois.
Not good. That's not. You want to be down in Fort Hood if you can. You know, you want to be down south somewhere.
All right. So main card, as I said, hit a thumbs up button for us if you don't mind. And we got Cody Brundage, another one of D Rose's favorite fighters to bet on, and he is going to be taking on the UFC's pride, I guess. But like it's like if you had someone that said who is the most privileged fighter in the UFC, it would have to be Bo Nickal. Would have to be your answer. He is just getting the absolute pretty much easiest matchups, but I mean he is 4-0, 5-0, so you kind of have to bring him along like that to see where he's at. He is a Penn State All-American. He is a fantastic wrestler, and let's take a look at the face-offs real quick. Looks like Bo Nickal doing the Corey Sandhagen little pose there, looking like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo up there, but that seems to be the wrestler's pose for the most part. Yeah, size up pretty well for the most part. Not anything too much to take away. Maybe Cody might be a little bit more muscular, but why am I even talking about this at this point? This is Bo Nickal under 1.5. Bo Nickal sub for the most part. Weezy, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I parlayed the under 1.5 in this fight with the under 2.5 in the Rakic Prochazka fight because it's a Prochazka fight, and the guy's got 34 fights, and I think he's seen 2 decisions. So, I love playing violence in his fights, and Bo Nickal's a pretty violent dude. All that being said, I kind of feel like I still might get to like a quarter unit bet on the Brundage money line because this guy's pro career, Bo Nickal, has spanned 6 minutes. There's like 18-year-old kids that can fuck longer than that, I mean, and this guy's entire career is that long. There's a lot of things we still need to find out about Bo. Is the striking really UFC level at this point? We don't really know that. Wrestlers go for 8 minutes, so a lot of wrestlers that haven't been extended in fights, you might find that they can't wrestle heavily for more than a round or so before they're going to get tired and slow down significantly. So there's a lot of things we need to find out about Bo, but the line is where it is for a reason. But yeah, with that many unknowns, with a 6-minute career, I think the smart bet, like the old grizzled gambler that has made money for 30 years of his life doing it, they're not getting to the window and betting on Bo Nickal. You know what I'm saying? They're going out there and they're sprinkling just a little bit on Brundage and hoping for Bo to slip on a banana peel.
Indeed. And D Rose, do you want to let Uncle Weezy give him your I guess MMA stats on Cody Brundage fights that you have acknowledged or acquired over the past couple of years?
Yeah, the number one thing that I've learned in a Cody Brundage fight is just to don't bet it because he will 1000% in some way, form, or fashion screw your bet entirely. Because I'm telling you, every time I bet on this dude to win, he's lost. Every time I bet on him to lose, he wins.
Yeah.
I have no idea how he does it, but it's like he's just waiting for me to place that bet slip on FanDuel just so he can try to fuck me. So at this point, I don't even bet any of his fights anymore. But because the thing I've always I'm not going to say I've fallen in love or anything, but I've acknowledged him that he has some skill. He's a good wrestler. He's got good power in his hands. Another fight I bet against him in is Lugi and Bula. I bet Lugi and Bula to win that fight. He ends up winning by guillotine. Another fight where he's pretty significant underdog and came up big. So he has been in these situations before. But man, his fight IQ is going to be something that if you place a bet slip on him, Weezy, the rest of the hair that you have, you're going to pull the rest of it out by the time you end up placing any type of bet on Cody Brundage, because he is going to do something that is going to put himself purposely in a bad position. You go back to that Adolfo Vieira fight. He literally knocked Adolfo Vieira down 2 or 3 different times, and he still engages with Adolfo Vieira in the ground game and ends up getting submitted in that fight. The Cedricus Dumas fight, he is clearly the more superior wrestler, and he keeps jumping for guillotine and ends up getting bottom controlled. It's like, dude, what are you doing? He will drive you absolutely insane if you have any sort of bet stakes in his fights whatsoever. But keep it short here. Bo Nickel myself.
All right. And Wheezy, I don't know what this means. I'm not far from Chicago. K-Fire is the spot if you haven't been. What is that, Wheezy?
Might be a Korean chicken place, K-Fire.
Okay.
You know, I think I've heard there's a place called K-Coop. There's I don't know. I'll have to check out K-Fire. I'll have to see what that is.
Okay. So moving on, we do have Arman Tsaryukan up there looking absolutely great up there, to be honest. And not good from someone that already has multiple Charles Oliveira bets this week. So Arman Tsaryukan up there looking good, but Bronx up there has no trouble making weight. He is illuminated by God. Bronx, Charles Oliveira, the favela's own, if you will. Let's take a look at the face-offs. And he has a size advantage over Arman Tsaryukan, and they have no problem getting in each other's faces. And man, this is probably one of the fights that I'm most excited for on this entire card. Personally, I think these odds are just off. We see on the podcast earlier in the week, I had 4 different shirts on. It was a terribly drawn UFC 300 shirt, followed by this shirt, followed by a Yuri Prochazka shirt, followed by a Charles Oliveira shirt. So when the fights would come on, I would take off the shirt, and Charles Oliveira was my last one. Bronx, Charles Oliveira. I think Arman Tsaryukan has not bad striking defense, and he gets hit. Go back, watch that Joaquim Silva fight. If anyone had any finishing instinct, if Joaquim Silva had any sort of finishing instinct, I think he probably would have jumped on Arman in that point. But he just kind of watched and then got taken down and controlled the rest of the time. And Arman wanted no parts of that fight being on the feet. And in this fight, Charles is dangerous on the ground. So I just look for this to be a striking affair on the feet. And that being said, Charles Oliveira, the more potent, powerful, longer striker, in my opinion. So I am going Charles Oliveira to finish Arman Tsaryukan in round 1 or 2. I would say knockout, but you know that club and sub is always there. So I'm going the dog, Charles Oliveira, to finish Arman Tsaryukan. D-Rose, what do you got here?
Yeah, I am going to stick with my pick as well, although I will agree to say that Arman on the scale, oof, that dude looked like an absolute machine on the scale. So that does have me kind of tugging at my collar a little bit as someone who does have a couple bets in Charles Oliveira right now. But I am with you. I do agree that Arman Tsaryukan in a couple of his fights, Joaquim Silva, you go back to that one. Even in the Garbrandt fight, to a certain extent, he was getting lumped up pretty good in that fight as well. Garbrandt doesn't have the most power, but if you ask Justin Gaethje, he will tell you that the most powerful puncher that he has faced is Charles Oliveira. And I think seeing Arman Tsaryukan facing somebody that can put pressure on him, like an Islam, like a Martuz Garbrandt, those types of guys have been able to kind of get the pressure to him as the fight has been extended. The only thing that's going to concern you a little bit is that those guys are able to stuff Arman's takedowns, where Charles Oliveira is going to be a little bit more inviting for those takedowns and trying to work off the back with his jiu-jitsu. So that's going to be the only thing that's going to make me sweat a little bit. I do have a little small bet on Charles Oliveira by KO with plus 600 right now. So I'm going to stick with Charles Oliveira by KO here.
All right, fair enough. And Uncle Wheezy.
I got 2 bets on this fight. I got Tsaryukan by decision at plus 350 for a half unit, and I've got the Charles Oliveira finish only prop for 1 unit at plus 165. So, a lot of people think that Arman's going to go out there and finish Charles, and Charles has been finished in all but one of his losses. So I get why people think Arman's going to finish Charles, but Charles has won 12 of his last 13 fights, right? And in a lot of those fights, he's losing moments and coming back from that. He's having a lot of back and forth fights. He's getting touched. He's touching up his opponents. He's getting taken down, getting reverses, getting back up, hunting for submissions. He's just bringing this chaos. Brandon Royval kind of has the same style down at flyweight as Charles has up here at lightweight. And it's worked for Charles for a very long time. And, the thing about Charles is he does invite the takedowns. He loves being anywhere on the mat with you because he can just threaten submissions. And with a lot of great submission grapplers, like Renato Moicano, for instance, all of his submissions are rear naked chokes. You go through Charles' submissions, dude, this guy is getting submissions that nobody's ever heard of, you know, and then he gets every different kind of submission. He can get them from his back. He can get them from the top. He can get to your back and finish with the rear naked choke. He's got a calf slicer finish. You know, he's got triangle finish. He's the only guy to ever submit Darren Elkins. You know, like this guy can snatch up a submission from anywhere. So I think that he's got a lot of the finishing equity here. But I think if this fight goes the full 15 minutes, it's going to mean that Tsaryukan's getting takedowns, landing ground and pound, and winning minutes. So I've got the Tsaryukan by decision. I've got the Oliviera inside or finish only props, which will void if it goes to decision. And we'll see what happens here, man. It's going to be a great fight. I can't wait.
Indeed, indeed. So let's move on to our last 3 fights. One of our 3 title fights. Me and D Rose usually try to do the post show after the pay-per-view, but I think we will have to be pushed that off till Sunday because there's a chance that this bad boy, this fight card's on till like 2-3 a.m. And
yeah.
I'm not sure if I can be up that late.
I'm gonna grab a beverage. I'll be right back, fellas.
You're good, Weezy. No problem. So up next we do have Justin, the highlight Gaethje. No problem, making 155 as he always does, taking on Max Blessed. Well, that's not Max Blessed Holloway. That's John Gel9. He is going to be taking on Max Blessed Holloway up at 155. And dude, does Max look any different to you, D Rose? Like, he don't really look like he's put much mass on to me. Maybe his back looks a little bit bigger, but aside from that, you know, his face still looks pretty sunken out and shit. Still, like, he's still cut quite a bit of weight. And then if we move on to the face-offs here, Justin and Max look like they are relatively the exact same size. So yeah, this is a fight that let me put it like this. Justin is clearly the more powerful striker of the two here. And I personally think Max is the more durable out of the two here. So it's tough to call, you know, if this was to go to decision, who's winning this fight, except for one thing. And I just think Max Holloway loves to eat leg kicks. And you don't want to eat Justin Gaethje's leg kicks, man. They're just absolutely horrendous. Everyone that he kicks, they talk about that is the most painful thing I've ever felt, even Khabib. So if Max Holloway has no answer for these leg kicks, I believe at some point he might get finished later on in the fight, but if not, then Justin Gaethje via decision. But I'm going Justin Gaethje to win this fight. Uncle Weezy, pass it to you.
Yeah, so I mean, every week I do my full card breakdown Tuesday night at 10 o'clock Central Time, and I do Stack Diggers on Sunday night at 6:15 Central Time. So usually by Sunday night, I've kind of wiki capped all the fights, but I haven't watched all the tape yet, right? So, but you know, giving that overall macro view of a fight is a great place to start, because what it does is it tells you what they've done in the past, what they're most likely to go to in order to win fights, and then what the strategy is going to be against this particular opponent. So then it'll tell you, okay, I'm going to watch these fights, you know, because you can't tape. Like if you're taping Gaethje versus Holloway and you want to watch all their UFC fights, good luck.
You're wasting your time watching Michael Chandler.
Yeah, you know, I mean, got 24 fights for Holloway, and that's just since 2013, and 402 minutes of cage time. So you have to know what fights to tape when you're breaking down fights here. But the bottom line is that I always kind of like write up the fights, do my shows, and then Tuesday night after I'm done with my show, that's when I start watching other people's shit. And I want to see, you know, what they're saying. I want to see how it lines up with the research that I've done. And my research was Gaethje's leg kicks are going to make a huge difference here. The fact that he's a 155er and has that kind of power. The fact that he's had 9 fights scheduled for 5 rounds and not one of them has seen the scorecards. And something's got to give here, because this guy Holloway is the most durable dude maybe to ever get in the cage. He's absorbed 1,816 distance strikes since the year 2013. He's never been dropped. He's never been dropped in the UFC. He's never been knocked out as a professional. And that's in 32 pro fights and over 500 minutes of cage time. So this guy, his durability is absolutely next level. So when I saw Gaethje by decision at plus 300, I'm like, dude, really? This guy's minus 160 on the money line, and you're going to give me plus 300 for his decision prop against a guy that you could hit in the shovel with a shovel in the face, and he's not going to go down in Max Holloway? So that was my read. And then when I started listening to the people that I respect, a lot of people on Holloway this week. And it just got me a little bit spooked, because they were making a lot of very good points. But at the end of the day, it is up a weight class. Max Holloway has not seen the guys with big power like Gaethje has. Guys that are knocking out Dustin Poirier. Guys that are winning minutes at range against Rafael Fiziev. This guy Gaethje can come back. He can have adversity and come back and finish you. And then the leg kicks are just such a huge part of it for a boxer. In Holloway, they're always heavy on their lead leg. Now, Holloway's got great footwork and great lateral movement, so he's going to be hard to find and cut off. But the thing is that Gaethje can get those leg kicks from any stance. He doesn't just need to be orthodox and his opponent's orthodox, and he blasts that outside low calf kick. He gets the inside leg kicks as well. He'll throw switch kicks to the lead leg when he's in an opposite stance. So he's got a bunch of different ways to attack that particular technique, and it's going to be there for him all 5 rounds. But until I see with my own eyes somebody finish Max Holloway, I'm just going to believe that it's not possible. So I think Justin Gaethje by decision at plus 300 is very intriguing this week. I could even see maybe going a full unit on it. But, it's just one of those system bets. Like, okay, if he finishes Max, I'll just take my 1 unit. I'll throw it in the garbage. I'll say, congratulations, bookie. You got me. You tricked me. Turns out Max Holloway can be finished, but I just didn't think it was possible.
All right, fair enough. Wheezy on Justin Gaethje via decision. And D Rose, anything to add, man?
Yeah, I am sort of leaning with you guys just in terms of who I think is going to win the fight. I am with Wheezy to say that I place a bet on Monday with Justin Gaethje in a parlay with Weili, and he was minus 205. Right now, as I'm looking at FanDuel, he is down to minus 162. So it kind of got me tugging at my collar a little bit because, what is somebody seeing that I'm not seeing? But I do not want to overthink this here. I do think Justin Gaethje is going to get the win. I do not think he's going to get the finish, but we also did not think that Gaethje was going to finish Tony Ferguson, and did not think he was going to finish Dustin Poirier. He was able to get the finishes in those fights. I do like the line on FanDuel right now for Justin Gaethje, the alternate rounds to win in 4, 5, or by decision is at plus 200 right now on FanDuel. So I don't think he's going. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get the finish early. If he is to get the finish, I definitely going to think it's going to be some type of, as he said, a lot of accumulative damage and wear and tear on Max after a while, because Max is one to kind of stand in the pocket, try to trade and take one and give one. And I just think Gaethje's the wrong guy to do that against. So I'm definitely going to be playing that 4 or 5 or decision with Gaethje and at plus 200.
All right, and this fight actually closes out the 2-leg parlay for the biggest bet that I have ever made, and it is at Bet Rivers Sportsbook at a plus 128. I do have Jalen Turner parlayed up with Justin Gaethje. I put $300 on it for UFC 300 to win 684, plus 128. Yeah, that's the biggest bet I've ever made, because I'm one to say at the end of the day, this is a fist fight and anything can happen. So if you are out there betting thousands of dollars on this, you have bigger nuts than I do. I haven't worked myself up to that point yet, because at the end of the day, it's like I said, it is a fist fight. So that closes out the biggest bet that I have ever made: Jalen Turner and Justin Gaethje 2-leg parlay. and we will move on to the next fight. And it actually is time for Yan Xiaonan, D-Rose, because Weezy has just stepped away. I thought we were going to have Justin Gaethje versus Yan Xiaonan, and that would have been a terrible fight. But we do have Yan Xiaonan making weight in the China versus China, taking on Magnum Zhang Weili. How do you not love Magnum Zhang Weili? Such basically MMA's, Chinese sweetheart at this point. She's so adorable. Anytime she speaks English, it is pure entertainment. How can you not smile when it happens? If we move on to the face-offs, let's take a look at them real quick here. They size up rather well. Yan Xiaonan might have a little inch, 2-inch height advantage, but I'm not going to take too much breaking this one down. You get TKO'd by Carla Esparza in her only TKO victory ever, and you're bloodied up by Carla Esparza from crucifix position. What is Magnum Zhang Weili going to do to you? So I don't know if Magnum Zhang Weili finishes Yan Xiaonan or if it's a respect for being another Chinese competitor and she just outclasses her like she did Amanda Lemos via decision. But I don't think there's a way that Yan Xiaonan loses this fight. D-Rose, anything to add, man? I mean, I don't think there's a way that Zhang Weili loses this fight. Anything to add, D-Rose?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty much there with you as well. I think for me, I'm going to look to maybe play Zhang Weili by submission, or you could do a double chance on FanDuel. You could get either submission or on points at -115 right now. So I think that's a pretty decent parlay piece, just because you could say that Weili may be able to get the ground and pound finish, as Yan was finished by Carla Esparza via ground and pound. But it almost looked like in the last fight for Weili against Lemos, almost looked like she didn't want to go for the ground and pound or anything like that. Like she was able to display the ground control, but she wasn't able to really implement much ground and pound. She was going for a lot of subs in that fight. And she was able to keep the control on Lemos, but wasn't really going for much of a ground and pound finish there. So, as you said, I could see a little bit of a respect thing there in terms of maybe not going for a absolutely brutal ground and pound finish. Could look for some type of armbar choke here, but I'm gonna keep it simple here. Stick with Weili and do that either by submission or decision at the -115.
All right. And Uncle Weezy, anything to add here?
Not much. I think that this is Weili all day. The grappling differential in this fight is there's a mile between them. So and Weili's look phenomenal with her takedowns and ground and pound and submission game. So I think that's what she's going to do here. And there's a hole there for Yan. But if Yan keeps this standing in that distance in the big cage, I think it's going to be a 50-50 fight. But I just don't think that that's how it's going to play out. I think it's going to be Weili, and I think she probably gets a finish here.
All right, fair enough. So with that being said, all three of us are on the current strawweight champion of the world, Magnum Zhang Weili, to be and still at the end of the night. So we'll move on to the main event of the night, UFC 300 headliner. We've got the challenger, Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill, taking on Alex Polton Pereira. And this is, I don't want to say this is a bad fight or anything, but we were led on for so long about the headliner for UFC 300. And then we get this. This should have been the headliner for, I believe, 301 in Brazil for the most part. But hey, what can we do? We have Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill versus Alex Polton Pereira as the headliner for UFC 300 for the light heavyweight championship. Check out these guys size up real quick. And Jamal trying to get in his face. D-Rose, I am going to pass it to you first, before I actually give my breakdown here, because I know you are all on Jamal Sweet Dreams and you have plenty to say about this fight. But Alex looks like he might have maybe an inch reach. An inch height advantage or so. And then personally, I think he's got the technical striking advantage and the power. But, that's just my opinion. But Jamal in his face, just ready for it. And I've said this all week. I am all about fighters' confidence, but when Ilya was confident about knocking out Volk, I was like, hell yeah. When Sean O'Malley was confident about knocking out Aljo, I'm like, hell yeah. But something about Jamal Hill just kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's like you're disregarding him completely, like he's this no one. So D-Rose, I'm going to pass it to you first. Let the people know your pick and why, and just your feelings on this fight, and then I'll let Weezy go, and then I'll go last.
Yeah, I think Jamal Hill just getting I don't want to say a little bit of a bad rap. I can understand a little bit of the hate coming his way this week, but I think his biggest thing is that he's almost let too many fans get in his head, and he's almost kind of fighting with the MMA media as they're a representation of the fans. But I've been listening to a couple more of his interviews with I listened to his interview with DC, and he just has his hair down a little bit more. And was more or less just saying that, he kind of felt a little bit disrespected because going into the Glover fight, obviously people were picking him to win, but, there were some people who were picking Glover to win. But, he just said he kind of feels almost just completely disregarded because fans are like, well, what's going to happen when he kicks his leg? And he's like, I've faced guys who have kicked my leg before. It's not like it's anything really, I haven't faced. Yeah, I mean, like Thiago Santos. I mean, Thiago Santos throws some nasty leg kicks, but he was able to stuff that with forward pressure and uses boxing, and I think that is something that he can use going into this fight as well. And for me, I think Alex Pereira, just being on the schedule that he's been on, as I stated the other day, this week was a year ago where he got brutally KO'd by Izzy. So this week, I mean, within a full calendar year, this makes his fourth fight at the highest level. Man, that's really tough for fighters to just keep coming back and to continually winning. And man, if you look back at a lot of Alex Pereira's fights, I mean, he obviously got KO'd by Izzy. I think there were moments in that Yuri fight. Yuri didn't necessarily have him rocked, but he did have him press up against the cage and was landing some big shots. Izzy rocked Alex Pereira in the first fight. Bruno Silva had landed some big shots on him at a certain point in time. And I think that Jamal Hill, although his boxing is a little bit unorthodox, I think if he's able to use that forward pressure and to land home on Alex, if he gets Alex hurt, he has some of the best finishing instinct in the game. And I think he'll be able to capitalize on it if he's able to go ahead and hurt Alex. So yeah, I think for me, I'm going to stick with Jamal Hill by KO.
All right, D-Rose on Sweet Dreams, Jamal Hill. And before I pass it to you, Uncle Weezy, there is a comment here that I know that you know who this is. Papa Chuck, yo, dudes, all my guys in one place. Oh, it's great to see all of you. Best of luck to 300 tomorrow. Fun little fact real quick. Papa Chuck was probably one of my first 6 subscribers here on the channel. So I started the channel in January of 2021, and I've seen Papa Chuck here ever since the beginning. So, and I see him in your chat all the time.
Yeah.
So you know Papa Chuck as well. So
hell
yeah.
All right. Papa Chuck is that dude, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right, Weezy. Let's pass it to you. Main event. Anything to add for this, or to take away from what D Rose said before I give my opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I used the under 3.5 rounds here as the last leg of my parlay, the greasy 4-leg parlay that I gave out earlier today. Yeah, I think somebody's going to get knocked out. It's going to happen. Pereira with the low kicks and the left hook, you could see him getting a knockout. And Jamal Hill is a phenomenal kickboxer. I don't think that he gets enough credit for what he's accomplished, shooting 0 takedowns in his UFC tenure, right? So this guy is completely reliant on his hands, and he got to be champion with only losing once to Paul Craig. Outside of that, he's landing 4.04 more strikes per minute than his opponents do at distance. I mean, he throws 15.45 distance strike attempts per minute, and only 7.3 come back his way. He's got this way of kind of like hypnotizing his opponents and being able to throw without getting countered and just outlanding them over and over and over again. And the power's there too. He's landed 4 knockdowns in 8 fights. He's got 4 knockouts in 8 fights. Yeah, this guy's Hill is very good. And he's going to be probably a little bit faster than Alex, and he's going to throw a lot more volume than Alex. And I think that Jamal is probably the more durable guy as well. So I think it's a fascinating fight, but too many unknowns for me to want to bet this. You know, you've got about a 1 and 3 month layoff here for Jamal Hill since his last fight, 8 months since the Achilles surgery. We don't know how he's going to look, you know, and like you said, Pereira's been fighting a lot and he's a little bit chinny. You know, if you're getting starched by Izzy a couple of times, the first time he got starched in the first round, and he was very lucky that there was less than 10 seconds left in the round when he absorbed that big shot. Otherwise, he wasn't getting out of that round. So if Izzy can put you on skates, I promise you Jamal Hill can. And Jamal Hill probably has better kicks than Izzy. I know that's going to sound ridiculous, but go watch the tape. Go watch what this guy's doing with his kicks, his head kicks, his body kicks, especially when he's in that opposite stance. Because he's a southpaw, he's got those head kicks and those liver kicks from the southpaw stance. So I love everything that Jamal Hill brings to the table here. I need to see him do it again after this injury. This isn't, you know, an ankle injury. This isn't, you know, I pulled a hamstring. No, man, this is, you know, a ruptured Achilles tendon. You as an athlete might never get to the lengths that you have gotten to prior to that injury because it's that debilitating. So I'm staying away from betting a side on this fight. The pick is Alex Pereira, 4th round KO. But I mean, it's a pick. I'm a capper. I have to make a pick, but I'm not putting my money on that.
All right, fair enough. Wizzy, Jesus Christ, I can't speak. Wheezy going Alex KO, and that is the way I am going to. You know, just to take off what like Wheezy said there, go watch Kobe's first year after his Achilles surgery. It's just not the same. I know he was a little bit older, but he just looked so off after that. And you know, coming off the injury, it's tough. And you know, I kind of point this out to you, D Rose. You said Thiago Santos had decent leg kicks, but you know, they're not Alex leg kicks. Like, you know, and aside from that fight, I don't know if anyone has ever landed more than 3 or 4 leg kicks on him in an entire fight. And I know Alex is going to be throwing 4, 5, 6 per round. So he's going to be attacking that leg. And 2 fights, I watched the Weasels breakdown earlier, and it almost had me in tears laughing about how bad Jamal Hill's footwork and striking was. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, I didn't know it was that bad, but if you just point it out, it's like, oh, that's pretty bad. If he starts bringing his feet together, getting like leg kicked, he might fall down, and it's just going to be just bad. And when he fought Glover, Glover had no problem landing left hooks on him. And if Alex lands left hooked on you, it's going to be a problem. And one thing that I took away earlier in the week was in this highlight that keeps playing all week, but when he knocks out Johnny Walker, one of the most comedic knockouts you'll ever see, because like fucking Johnny Walker just got hit and he's like, ah! Like it almost looks cartoonish.
Inflatable arm, man.
Yeah. But if you go back and watch it at the exact same time that Jamal Hill lands his punch, Johnny Walker lands a left hook as well. And like Jamal Hill like steps back like, oh shit, I got hit. And then he's like, oh well, I hit him, he's hurt. And then he goes in. So he gets hit at the exact same time. And I just feel like if he gets hit by Peloton with a left hook, he's probably going out. So my pick for this fight is going to be Alex Peloton Pereira via knockout. So that being said, we got some bets to go over real quick and as fast as I possibly can. I said that I have multiple bets on this fight, more than I would have liked to, because I usually bet $35, $40 on each card, and I have a shit ton of fight bets. So the first one that I made Monday or Tuesday in the week was this one right here, $25 to win $111 on FanDuel. I'm sure odds at this point odds have definitely changed now. We got Davidson Figueiredo money line, Jalen Turner money line, Diego Lopes money line, and Justin Gaethje money line. That is a 4-leg plus 344. I like all of them to win, and $25 to win 111. That is the first one. And the next one here, $25. Here, we're getting risky now. To $25 to win 736. Alex Pereira money line, Zhang Weili money line, Justin Gaethje money line, Charles money line, Diego Lopes money line, Jalen Turner money line, and Figgy money line. But as I said, I made all of these earlier in the week, so odds have probably changed a little bit now. And the last one on DraftKings is a $30 7-leg Davison, Jalen, Diego Lopes, Bo and under 1.5 at minus 250. Charles Oliveira money line, Justin Gaethje and over 1.5 at minus 135, and Zhang and over 1.5 as well. $30 on that to win 967, I believe. It's a little small. And then the last one that I made before the podcast earlier in the week was this one right here. I put $50 on a 3-leg. Brazil stand up, baby. Diego Lopes, Charles Oliveira, and Poatan Alex Pereira. $50 plus 702, 401 is the payout there. As I said, this week I've turned into a degenerate this week. I already showed you guys this one, the $300 one that I made, the biggest bet I've ever made. Scary, but I made it, letting it ride now. And not only did I make it, Lush Lomain in the chat here, bang, he sent me this and he made the exact same play. Lush is an animal. So Lush Lomain gets an appearance for his little ticket on here as well. And Weezy, I got you here with your 2 greasy 4-leggers. So if you want to explain, I mean, it's the same one, but I'll pull it up here. It is a little blurry, but if you want to,
it's the Jiri Prochazka money line, because I think that he's going to shave Rakic's ass. So I got Jiri's money line. I've got fight to start round 3. No, for Jalen Turner versus Moicano. I think that one's going to finish early. I got the under 3.5 rounds there for the main event, Pereira versus Hill. You got 2 guys with 52% distance striking defense, and 2 guys that hit extremely hard, and 2 guys that don't grapple offensively. So somebody is going to get knocked out there. And then the 4th leg, Kayla Harrison to win inside the distance. I think when she gets this fight to the ground, not if, but when, she's going to maul poor Holly Holm. And let's face it, Holly's 42. Kayla's in her mid-30s here. Kayla's got a lot of good years left in this sport. She just proved she can make 135. I think she's going to mow through Holly Holm here, get a finish, and then get a title shot against Raquel Pennington next. So, yeah, plus 823 there. I played it on DraftKings and got the profit boost in there up to plus 1,000. I've also got a 2-leg parlay, the Nickal Brundage under 1.5 rounds with the Rakic Prochazka under 2.5 rounds. That came out to plus 118. I've got Oliveira's finish only prop at plus 165. I've got Tsaryukan by decision for a half unit at plus 350. I've got the fight goes to decision for Figueiredo versus Garbrandt at plus 150. I've got the Jim fucking Miller finish only prop at plus 100. I've got the fight doesn't start round 2 for Yusuff versus Lopes at plus 235. And I've got Jalen Turner by submission for a quarter unit at plus 850.
Hell yeah. And Lush saying, if we fall, we fall together, and scared money don't make money indeed.
That's
Lush.
right.
And then D Rose, I have yours here. I'll pull it up for you, my guy. So if you want to read it out, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just going with just a couple picks that I'm pretty confident in. So I just ended up going Cody Garbrandt, Marina Rodriguez, and Hanata Moicano for an all the dogs bet for $5 to win 109. I do also have 2 separate $10 bets on Cody Garbrandt and Marina Rodriguez straight up as well. So I am putting my money where my mouth is as far as backing them up on a straight bet, as well as the little parlay there. So yeah, a couple of dollars I like on the straight picks this week. So going to try to hopefully try to cash big on these.
All right, and the show is advertised as I like to try to turn $10 into $100 or more. So everyone that comes here for the change to the cheddar, the bet the little to win the lot. I'm not going to leave y'all out because we do have a prelim parlay and then one that we can hopefully win a ton. So our first one, prelim parlay, try to pay for that pay-per-view. It is $5 to win 243. It's Davison Figueiredo to knock out Cody Garbrandt in one of the first 2 rounds at plus 240. Jalen Turner to win in round 1 or 2. I don't like the the KO or the sub, because I feel like he could do either one. So just give me one or two. Diego Lopes money line, Calvin Kattar money line, and Yuri Prochazka money line. $5 on that to win $243. And hopefully we can hit that and pay for the pay-per-view. And then the big one, the big daddy this week, $5 to win $2,162. 4-leg. It is Calvin Kattar by KO, Charles Oliveira by finish. Doesn't matter how, KO or sub. Justin Gaethje via points, and Zhang Weili via submission at plus 420. $5 on that to win $2,162. Easy. The most I've ever won on any bet. It was a $2.50 bet, and I won $896 on a 9-leg.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice when you hit those, man.
Yeah, so it's the most I've ever won. And I said I would try to bring you guys some DK fantasy and prize picks last week. So I'll my prize picks play this week. The first one I've ever shared is obviously the free square Justin Gaethje to land more than a half a strike. So if he lands one punch, that one cashes. The Diego Lopes fight to go under 10.5 minutes, and the Davison Figueiredo fight to go under 11.5 minutes. That last one there might burn me, but it is a power play. So if I miss one of them, I don't get any of them. And my DraftKings lineup this week is honestly, Max Holloway was my punt, my last one that I needed to add. It is a very solid punt to have in there. I've also got Calvin Kattar in there. I think he could finish Aljamain Sterling. Diego Lopes, I think he finishes Sadiq Yusuff. Charles Oliveira is, known to possibly get finished as well, along with Jalen Turner. And if Zhang Weili doesn't finish Yan Xiaonan, I believe that she gets so much control time, it truly pays off her 9,200 price for the most part. So, I won the past couple weeks on DraftKings. I finished 6th place in one, and I won like $100. So, not too bad. Not too bad. Those are my DraftKings and prize picks plays for the week. So, Weezy, every single week here on the channel, I built this this channel basically off of opening UFC cards for the most part. So if you like to gamble and just want some extra fun, UFC cards are an extra way to get into it. But every week here on the channel, I give the members here on the channel a chance to predict the fight correctly. I just put a little post up here, and like the members, pretty much I asked for this right here. What do you think is going to happen? I usually do the main event of the card, and then the members will, predict what they think is going to happen. And then at the end of the night, when someone gets it correct, if they get it correct, they get a prize, Weezy. And the prize that we're doing here on the channel, I'll go ahead and show it one last time this week, is going to be, or I should probably full screen myself as well so you can see these 10 cards. Is it Jessica Andrade autograph here, Arman Tsaryukan blue out of 49, Yan Xiaonan purple, Holm purple, Bo Nickal rookie card. It's a solid one right there. Justin Gaethje green, Jalen Turner, Jamal Hill silver, Aljamain Sterling disco, Aljo Prism as well, and Magnum Zhang Weili copper. And then not only that, you get 2 packs out of whatever box you'd like. You can mix and match as well. So that is the prize for the weekly predict the fight game this week. And so Weezy, being the special guest here on the channel, I would like to give you the option to let the people know, or you choose, what is the fight to predict for this week. And I will leave the honors up to you. Let the members
besides the main event. You mean besides the main event?
You can be the main event too. Whatever you'd like, man.
Oh, but you're not going to ask me to predict it. You want the audience to predict it.
Yeah,
so then the one that I think is all right. Well, let me look here.
It's fun because he had me do one of these one time before. For me, I like finding the one that you can get the most variables in terms of outcomes, like this guy could win 3 different ways and the other guy can win 3 different ways, so there's a lot of variety there.
It's got to be Oliveira versus Tsaryukan. It's got to be Oliveira, because Oliveira could actually land the bigger shots and have the bigger moments and win a decision. He can obviously get a submission. he can knock people out because he's got a ton of power. Tsaryukan, great ground and pound, great submission game of his own, and also he's a great minute winner. So I think that that's a great one. Give it to whoever can do the best prediction on Oliviera versus Tsaryukan, because that's an amazing, amazing fight.
All right, so there you have it, the fight for the weekly Predict the Fight game. Be a lookout on the community tab after the chat tonight or tomorrow morning sometime. It'll be up there on the community tab for the members. Remember, you have to be a member here on the channel. Predict the fight correctly and win a solid prize here for UFC 300. Weezy, I have to ask you this before you go. The last time I was here, I had a guest. I had Clint on, and I didn't get a chance to ask him, being that this is, I built it off of UFC cards. I would like to offer you, what are some of your favorite fighters, Weezy? Because you do not understand the amount of UFC cards that I have laying around, and I would love to share some of what I have. And just, if you want to come to the hobby as well, I'll greatly invite you in with open arms. So if you have any fighters that you're a fan of, please let me know, through the X chat and just your address, and I'll get everything shipped out to you. You don't have to spend any more time here. I truly appreciate you coming on, Uncle Weezy. It means the world. You are someone that I am watching all of your videos every single week, and every one of you that are interested in betting UFC should also be watching Uncle Weezy's videos every single week as well, because stats are like none other. His little nuggets of information just help out so much. And once again, Probability, the best show for any MMA betting that you will find. It is truly perfect. Is a perfect show for a UFC bettor. So Weezy, I want to give you the floor. Anything before we get out of here, or I do want to let you plug all of your shows, because I'm sure I missed plenty of stuff as well. But your Patreon and your YouTube links are both in the description to this video.
Yeah, and that's the best place to find me, on YouTube and on Patreon. On YouTube, you're going to find all the content that I put out. And on Patreon, you're going to find all of the statistics that are behind that content, because that's how I got into this game. I started putting together spreadsheets of every fighter on a card, because when I would look at DraftKings and I would try to do DFS on DraftKings, the stats that they had were pathetic. They'd have fighters with like 13 fights, and then they'd give you like the last 5 fights and be like, yeah, this is what they did in the last fight. What about what they did before that? So I started actually inputting the information into spreadsheets. I was learning about programming. I was studying math. And at the time, it was just a hobby. And what I realized was, after a few months, I had like about a third of the UFC in my database. And I was like, I could keep doing this and have access to information that other people don't. And instead of just keeping it all to myself, I started the YouTube channel and shared it with my audience. So I appreciate everybody that's been along for the ride the whole time. You can find me right on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at MMA Weezy, and you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/Uncle Weezy. Access to phenomenal stats. And there's going to be a new package coming out, which is going to be the Probability package. I'm going to give you access to all the same analytics that I use to make those spreadsheets. And we're going to be doing pay-per-view only content for that Probability show. And we'll be putting it out for free for all the UFC numbered cards as well. But it's going to be great information for people that are bettors, that are do-it-yourself bettors, that want to have access to information that will help them make better decisions in the long term and learn about the mathematical underpinnings of how to be a long-term winning gambler. So thanks for having me on the show, fellas. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. Thank you for coming on, Weezy. It is truly a pleasure. As I said, big card, had to call out the big guns, went and bought a bag of oranges from my local Food Lion as a prop, so we could show that we are ready to show up to the bookies and beat them with this damn bag of oranges. I drove over to the hood of Portsmouth, Virginia yesterday to make that $300 bet, and I launched it. And I'm planning on going back Monday and taking that $600 and saying, "Ah, motherfuckers, I got you."
Yes.
So, lastly, Tim gifted a membership here on the channel. So appreciate you, Tim. Good luck, everyone. Great stuff, guys. And we appreciate all of your picks and times. Stay safe. We need you guys and our stats. Good luck to everyone this weekend. Let's go, Lush Low Main. And I think congratulations, Tom Bullard, and welcome to the family. Indeed, Tom Bullard gets the membership here on the channel. So congratulations, Tom Bullard. So D Rose, anything before we get out of here, my guy?
No, sir. I'm with Lush on that. I'm excited for the UFC 300. Fellas, we sludged through the Apex cards. We're finally here. Let's make some money tomorrow and enjoy these fights, man.
Indeed, indeed. So before I get out of here, I just figured I would leave you guys with this one last thing. I did find this. I was going through my collection earlier, and I found this card from 2010. Let's see if we can get it to focus here. I don't think so. I'll have to get my other camera on. I'll flip this other camera back on real quick and around here. From 2010, it is Jim fucking Miller. Look at that. 2010 Topps main event, and it is in pristine condition still. So before we get out of here, I want to let you guys know that if Jim Miller wins this weekend, Monday on the recap, I will be here live. And if you are live here in the chat, I'll be giving it to one of you live in the chat. I'll get everyone that wants it in here in the chat live Monday, and we'll duck race it off if Jim Miller beats Bobby Green this weekend. I believe probably one of the oldest cards I have from Topps 2010. So it's 2024 now. So 14 years old, and it's still in fantastic condition. So thank you all for stopping by here, hanging out with me, D Rose, and the special Uncle Weezy here for UFC 300. 3 hosts for UFC 300. I have a $300 bet. This is the biggest show I have ever done, the most money I have ever bet, and I truly appreciate each and every single one of you for stopping by, hanging out with us here tonight. And with that being said, I will catch you guys Monday night for the recap. And yeah, just once again, thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Weezy, for stopping by, and D Rose. You know, I appreciate you always as well, my guy. All right, we'll catch y'all later. Peace.